This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's up, gang? Let's do this. Great long weekend. Thanks to Connor and Remo for holding it down yesterday. Great to be back. Andrew Paterson with you. Soon to be joined by Michael Remis today. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. We got a fun show today coming up. Obviously, we'll chop it up with Remo right away. Brandon Rewucki's going to jump on. We'll hit a few Jets and NHL offseason topics with him, as well as get his thoughts on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Jays are playing this afternoon. We'll tee that one up and look ahead to a huge series on the weekend with the Los Angeles Dodgers with our go-to guy, Josh Goldberg. There is a huge, huge match tonight in Montreal for Canadian tennis. Victoria Mboko, who stunned the world, and number one seed Coco Gauff earlier in the tournament, is in the semifinals. We'll get the latest on both the women in Montreal and the men in Toronto for a few minutes with John Horn. And then just after 2:30, looking forward to welcoming in Nic Demski from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to talk about that crazy win on Friday night and look ahead to hopefully a little bit of revenge being served by the Bombers to the Calgary Stampeders after they were drummed by the Stamps in their first two meetings this year. Got some great news from Bomber practice yesterday that Zach Collaros and Stanley Bryant were back. We'll hear from Zach coming up in just a few minutes. Hey, just before we bring in Michael Remis, we've got a great contest. We did this last year, had so much great feedback on it that we figured we'd do it again. And listen, I mean, if you've been with us for a long time, you know that being a cool better and playing at Coolbet gets you some awesome chances at trips, contests, and experiences. And nothing has changed because we are doing it up for the Labor Day Classic again with Coolbet and sending a couple WST and CFL 110 listeners to the big game with me and the gang on Labor Day weekend for the Bombers and Riders. Of course, the 1930 Cruise put together an amazing, amazing tour package. We did it last year. It's going to be bigger and better this season. And all you need to do for you cool bettors out there. And listen, if you don't have a Coolbet account, please go on, make one, use the promo code WST for a 100% bonus on your first deposit. Anyone that sends us a screenshot of a $10 bet on anything, it does not have to be on the CFL. If you're having fun betting the Jays right now or tennis, NFL futures, whatever it is, just screen cap it and send in that along with your Coolbet username and your information, how we can get a hold of you. Email that to contest@winnipegsportstalk.com. Everyone that enters will have a ballot for a marble race. We'll do it 2 weeks Friday, a week out from Labor Day. And one of you can join me on the Huss Bus out to Regina for the Labor Day Classic. Should be a lot of fun. So again, any $10 bet at Coolbet, send us your username, a screen cap of the bet, and your information. Contest@winnipegsportstalk.com. Good luck to all of you. Of course, big thanks to Coolbet for everything they do for Winnipeg Sports Talk, along with the rest of our great sponsors, Princess Auto, Manitoba Battery, St. Vital Dental Center, Rollies Transfer, Canadian Club, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, F Apparel, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, the Winnipeg Gold Eyes, the Assiniboia Downs, Breezy Bend Country Club. We'll get to a why not question today for not Autocorp, but Waverly McGillivray. And of course, get some fan feedback from you in the chat for fansfirst.ca. Michael Remis, what is up?
Hey, nice to have you back, Huss. Held it down yesterday, but great to have you here. You know, talked about the Bomber game. A lot of other stuff going on here this summer. So
that game, dude, like, and I know you guys chopped it up yesterday, and the guys talked about it on Bombers, the Bomber Weekly with Connor and Zach. Just one of the most insane football games I can remember in a long, long time. And listen, this is a results-based business, and it is about winning football games. But I cannot remember a more bizarre game that had as many points without the offenses really doing a lot of it than that game on Friday. I mean, for the Bombers to be bailed out by Val, I mean, what a game he had with those 2 touchdowns. And Willie Jefferson with a game for the ages. Listen, we knew he had the sack and the 4 knockdowns, and he seemed to be everywhere in that football game, especially in the fourth quarter when they needed it so badly. And check this out. The PFF guys tweeted out that Willie Jefferson had a 99.3 rating in that game. And shout out to Schnitzy. He said, I've never seen one this close to 100, and asked Bryson Vesnaver from PFF, is this the highest ever single grade for a CFL player? Listen to this. He said, yes, since we started doing CFL games, it is the highest game grade. It might be the highest game grade we'd ever given out in any pro league. But I can't confirm that. If it's not, it is right up there. A truly historic game by Willie Jefferson, the 99.3. The next highest rating of anybody from last week was Val, 92.5 with 2 touchdown returns, and linebacker Jameer Thurman. But Willie stepped up. The defense stepped up when they needed it. Probably would have preferred not to have to go out and step up the way they did in the fourth quarter. We'll get to the Hogan call and the interception with Chris Streveler, but an absolutely amazing night. And oh my God, dude, I didn't get a chance yesterday because I wasn't here to talk about the crowd. The crowd on Friday night at Princess Auto Stadium was incredible. I mean, the atmosphere from the start of the game throughout was amazing. And, you know, we talk about the social event that Bomber games are. I tweeted this out on Friday, but the North End was a freaking nightclub. And for other teams to see what Winnipeg has built with the amount of young people that are going there as the place to be is something every other team is shooting for, and the Bombers have right now. So overall, a very fun night, a crazy game. But the good news for Winnipeg is they're getting some reinforcements back, and that would be their starting quarterback, Zach Collaros, and right behind him, Big Stanley Bryant, who's missed the last 3 games on the offensive line.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly how you would draw it up. With their quarterback, I mentioned, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, but the team put up 40 points due to the defense and return game. Pretty incredible stuff. And yeah, it was really nice to see Zach Collaros taking reps, speaking to the media, Stanley Bryant as well, as the Bombers look for revenge from the last time they were in Calgary this season, which was, of course, the Stampede Bowl, which saw Calgary lifting the historic trophy on the stage with the commissioner in a post-game celebration. I'm sure it left a very sour taste in their mouth as they look to get back at Calgary, who's got some QB questions of their own, with PJ Walker starting for an injured Vernon Adams, but it seems like Adams is on his way starting, but we will wait and see before we
he was back out there yesterday, much like Zach was. I mean, it's certainly, right now the Stamps are a 5-point favorite over at Coolbet in this game, which will tell you, like, that's a line that expects Vernon Adams to play. And we're going to have much more on the Bombers, the Stamps, the entire Canadian Football League. Right after WST today, we will flip it over to the premiere of this week's edition of CFL 110 with myself and Jeff Hamilton. So all you CFL fans, stick around right at the end of WST for that. Listen, we'll hear from Zach Collaros in just a minute, Reem. But some congratulations are in order. The captain of the Winnipeg Jets has been doing more than just rehabbing from his hip surgery all summer. Adam Lowry, much to the chagrin of probably many of the ladies of Winnipeg and Manitoba, has gotten engaged. Look at this. They just posted that picture last night on Instagram, and then the Jets put that out. But congratulations to Adam and his girlfriend. I believe it's Laura. I could be wrong on that. So if that is, but congratulations to both of them. And listen, for a guy that has been such a big part of this Winnipeg team, and really we've seen Adam grow up here in Winnipeg, this is one of those stories that I think resonates with fans a little bit more than other players, just because of how important he is to the team and what he does for the Winnipeg Jets, both on and off the ice.
Yeah, last week was Sandberg watch us. We're waiting for the Sandberg contract, and we've got a new contract between Adam Lowry and now his fiancée. So congratulations to them, and we are waiting for Lowry to sign another deal, possibly with the Jets, as him and Kyle Connor are entering the final years of theirs. But some nice this is the part of the summer, Huss. We're looking for any morsel of off-season Jets news, whether it's a player on vacation, doing whatever, but we now have Adam Lowry's engagement front page. So exciting stuff for the young couple.
You're good. You're good on the gram. Have you seen any noteworthy Winnipeg Jets fun off-season holiday stuff lately? I did see the Velardis through our favorite Meg, who's a great poster and TikToker. We're out, I think, like at a wedding or something in like South Carolina. They've been bouncing around a little bit. Of course, Gabe got his contract. Sandberg joined us. He was down in Duluth after coming back from Toronto, and I think that's where he's been for the most part. And of course, I know what Mark Scheifele and Josh Morrissey are going to be doing at the end of the month. That's getting ready to put their best foot forward at the Canada Olympic team camp for a few days to see if they can put themselves in. I mean, Josh, I think, is already a lock for the team, but that's going to be a big story throughout the first half of the season, much like it was last year for the Four Nations. Can Mark Scheifele play at a level that gets him onto Team Canada? Because that's an absolute dream of his to be a part of it.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen a lot. I know Josh Morrissey was in Europe just from following on Instagram. Velarde, they've been touring around. I've seen that, but I haven't seen a ton of Jets updates on social media. I think I might have to do some digging as we look for segments. I know that Jets single game season tickets go on sale. I think tomorrow's official. They've had some pre-sales for season ticket holders, and showed it to some chatters who've been discussing which games they added onto their packages. So we do have that, but the orientation camp, yeah, Connor and I went through it yesterday, just looking at, okay, they've invited back all the players from the Four Nations, plus some new names who weren't on the team, and that seems to be the short list. I think a lot of it will depend on how you're playing at the time and injuries, but which players who were on the Four Nations team might get left off, and which names who weren't on last time might get on. And I think Mark Scheifele's in a real battle there to get on. He probably should have been named to the Four Nations team. He was certainly playing well enough to do that, but he is playing at a stacked center position. He would have to shift to wing. I'd like to see Mark Scheifele get on. He certainly deserved it, but it's going to be real tough. And I agree, Josh Morrissey seems to be a lock, and you just hope he can be healthy to get into hopefully a gold medal game for Canada, as it was so disappointing that he was not able to suit up in that one. And I agree, this will be something we'll be watching. It's an orientation camp at the end of the month. No on-ice component, which was a real surprise to Connor and I discussing yesterday, that they only invited 3 goalies. Like, what if one of these guys gets hurt? Is that who's gonna be? You have some pretty other good goalies like Blackwood or Kemper or Logan Thompson, who could certainly be a fit on this roster, but no, they went with the 3 goalies and a number of extras on forwards and defense.
One guy that didn't get the call for this one, which I wasn't sure that he was going to, was Connor Bedard. And listen, Bedard had a really rough season last year, and I think everyone thought he was going to be on the Four Nations team, and then I don't think was really close. Macklin Celebrini, in fact, I think in the eyes of most people, probably jumped Connor Bedard in a realistic chance to make the team. They're both there right now. I think I'd still bet more on Celebrini making the team than Bedard. But listen, Connor has represented Canada at many things. He did not go to the World Championships, which was a little bit of a surprising decision. And we certainly saw, obviously they had that tough loss, but how much Celebrini liked playing with the likes of Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby. But I think if you're a Canadian, you see what Bedard did early on in his career and his incredible junior career. You'd love to see him take that next step. And, if he can, maybe he is in the mix. But for Jet fans, the focus will be on Josh Morrissey and Mark Scheifele. And certainly Scheifele, as last year was the case, will have an extra carrot to be elite during the first half of the season because he certainly is right in the mix, Remis. And I think with another really strong few months coming out of the gate and some success for he and the team, he could play his way onto pretty much one of the greatest honors that you can have as a National Hockey League player representing your country in the Olympics, especially for Canada.
Yeah, this would be the shot for Mark Scheifele to get on, as he's over 30 now. We thought it was going to be at the Four Nations, but it would be a really nice bonus for him to make it. So we'll be following that. There was some Jets news off ice that I forgot to mention. You asked me. People were sending this to me yesterday. Jonathan Toews. What does he look on the ice? Shout out to the Oats Sports Group. Put out a video of them working with Jonathan Toews. Here, Huss, check this out. Jonathan Toews, he's still rocking Blackhawks gear. We don't know when this was recorded, but he's doing some drills here, receiving passes with one hand. I thought they always taught you to put two hands on your stick. Apparently not now. And here he is, just going back and forth. Look at me. Look how he receives this pass with one hand. Is that to be quicker? I thought they taught you two hands on the stick, but to be ready for it. But he's got one hand. He's doing some stick handling, doing some back and forth. This is pretty reduced speed here. But this is Jonathan Toews doing on-ice workouts with the Oats Sports Group, putting it out. He's wearing Blackhawks pants. People in the comment section being like, "Where's the Jets pants?" And
he's probably got to show up and do some sort of Jets activities before he gets the new equipment.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be in a month here in training camp when things get going.
I always wonder, what that's like when you get your equipment. Do they just show a box of, they all have Jets shirts and sweaters, shoes, shorts, everything. They just, go. It's like in, I was going to say, they take you to the swag tent, Huss, and you just get to pick whatever you want in terms of gear and everything. What a dream that would be, saying, hey, welcome to the NHL, and here's your swag.
Here's your pack. With your hoodies, your tracksuits, your t-shirts, your lids.
Yeah, hats. They just get to pick every time.
You know what? I'm just watching this, because obviously the Toews signing was massive, massive news. And then, it's just this quiet part of the summer where nothing's going on. I believe FanFest, I don't know if they've announced this yet, but I'm expecting, just based on previous years, it'll most likely be on Saturday, September the 20th. Training camp will get going a couple days earlier than that. And then you're right into the preseason. How crazy is I don't want to say scrum or just that, how much is the buzz of Toews really being out in public amongst the fans as a Winnipeg Jet for the first time? How much will that ramp up the excitement for FanFest this year? I think it'll be significant. And the event's been amazing the last couple of years as it is.
Yeah, great question. Will they bring in some more alumni now that the alumni seem to be growing? Huss, I think that the autograph signings were, exciting last year. And yeah, seeing Toews on the ice, seeing this year's players, the excitement of last season, a President's Trophy winning team, the Hart Trophy winner. I think there'll be some buzz once it gets going. We are in the first week of August, but it's just around the corner. Training camp, we have the schedule out now. Tickets are on sale. They just announced EA Sports NHL 26, the cover as well. So it's all
who's on the cover?
Oh, do you want to guess? You didn't hear the big news?
Yeah, let me guess. I don't know. Sidney Crosby.
Not Crosby. I guess this one. It's. I figured they'd want an American. They'd want a Stanley Cup champion. No better representation than Matthew Tkachuk. But how about this? They just announced the deluxe edition. Check out the deluxe edition with all the Tkachuks. Brady, Matthew, and even former Winnipeg Jet
Walt
Keith Tkachuk making it. So the Tkachuks on the last year's the Hughes Bros, now it's the Kachuk family on the cover of the deluxe edition, NHL 26. They had the trailer today. Leafs fans very triggered. They put Mitch Marner in a Golden Knights jersey scoring on the Leafs in the trailer. Let me pull it up. Hold on.
Listen, I shouldn't laugh. I'd be pissed off. If the first thing I saw was Nikolai Ehlers as a Carolina Hurricane scoring in the Jets, I would be miffed too. But that's pretty juicy. Getting Mitch as a Golden Knight scoring on the.
There it is, wearing 93 score. I didn't see Ehlers on the Hurricane scoring on Hellebuck, but that would be funny if they did that.
So there we go. Well, we'll have to get a review going when that game is out. I know you're our go-to guy for that.
Yeah, me and Connor. Now that Connor is full time, maybe we'll have to start up a WST team.
I'd much rather you guys just go toe-to-toe and I can do commentary and people can watch big best-of-7 series. Have you played him before?
I've never played Connor. I don't know. Maybe we should have a grudge match.
He's probably really good. You're pretty good. I would just imagine, based on his age, he's probably good.
I'm pretty washed up.
The younger you are, the better you are at these games.
I've got a lot of experience. Connor dated us all, saying the first NHL he played yesterday, we talked about the cover, I think he said the first one was like NHL 08. And I was like, oh boy. So I've got a lot of experience, but my hours played the last couple of years, I could do that in a day, like 15 years ago.
By the way, shout out to the sweetheart of the chat, Mary Jane, who's confirmed. Yes, Saturday, September 20, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Hockey for All Center. Tickets are free, max of 8 per order, so check out the Jets website for that. And that actually is a game remote. The Bombers, I believe, are in Ottawa. That's Saturday afternoon. So presumably we'll get out to the Fan Fest, kick it with the fans, have a good time. We'll do a little special broadcast as we've done the last couple years after Illegal Curve goes live, and then slide out somewhere to watch the game. So that should be a lot of fun. And by the way, one other note when it comes to the Jets in the upcoming season, I know people have been asking about the WST nights, our games and whatnot. Meeting with the Jets next week to get all that done. So I would say in about early, not next week, but the following week, middle of August, we will have those details for you, and we should be set up that you can count yourself in, get your seats for those particular games, and get the best ones for our Winnipeg Sports Talk nights. We went undefeated last year, didn't we?
We did. It was, you know what, it was such a historic season, and we're going to be looking back on last year being like, man, wasn't that awesome? Where
every game.
The Jets won every game where, you know, I think the table was about to turn as we didn't have a lot of success in the first year of the ticket pack, but we picked some great games last year, a lot of good games. I looked at the packages. I had a hard time picking them, so I'm excited to see what we're going to dial up, and excited to see everyone out there again for a couple games this year.
Yeah, exactly. You can hit us with, listen, if you want either Instagram or I should say Twitter or email, if there's any particular games, we will try and spread them out throughout the year. I was thinking of the home opener, based on early advanced ticket sales and whatnot, we may or may not be able to do that with the Taves return. So hang tight. We'll have dates. We'll have details. We'll have games coming up in the next couple of weeks. Looking forward to getting that set up again. All right. Rewucki coming up a little later on. John Horn, huge moment for Canadian tennis tonight in the semifinals in Montreal with the Victoria Mboko, looking to get to her first final on the tour. And of course, Nic Demski coming later on. But the Jays are up early today, so we're going to bring in Josh Goldberg in just a moment. Hey, before we bring in Josh, folks, if you got a move coming up this summer or fall or even into the winter, lean on our friends at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba, family-owned and operated for 60 years for the white glove treatment that your prized possessions deserve. Head on over to Rollies.com. You can check out everything about their operation. But in the top right corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. Put in the promo code WST for a 100% bonus up to $200 on your first deposit, and simply let them know when and where you're moving, what needs to be moved. And our friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for that white glove service that they have become famous for. For your next move, make it Rollies. Find out more, request an estimate today at rollies.com. All smiles at St. Vital Dental Center. Dr. Terry and his great staff had a great summer, and inviting Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners that maybe have been a little delinquent seeing the dentist to head on down to their beautiful new facility, 167 St. Anne's, convenient free parking in the back, and a full array of dental services that have been taking care of generations of Winnipeggers for years. Everything from cleanings and checkups to things like dental implants. They've got you covered. And of course, a great location and a great history of serving Winnipeg. StVitalDental.ca is the website. You can find out about all their services. Make an appointment and make sure you tell them that the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And man, I was out at Alactabonnie on the weekend talking to a few people, and a lot of love for Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Batteries. People that have boats, people that have campers that get out, they know the best prices in town on batteries are a Manitoba Battery, and it ain't close. They're beating the pants off the big box stores on price, allowing you to shop local, get the best in customer service, and save up to $60 a battery. So for all your battery needs this summer, don't waste your time and your money at any of the big box stores. Shop local. Manitoba Battery, Logan Avenue, Dovercourt Drive. And you can always order online with free delivery with any battery purchase over $60 inside the perimeter. Order online at manitobabattery.com. All right, Josh Goldberg joins us, getting ready for the finale of the Blue Jays and the Colorado Rockies this afternoon, teeing off in about 40 minutes or so. Josh, what's going on? How are you?
Good, Husk. Jays are playing much better, which is nice. This could have been a much different conversation if things continue to spiral, but going for a sweep is exactly where you want to be against a team like the Rockies.
No, they absolutely had to be there. I mean, what was your takeaways from the Royals series on the weekend?
To me, it's just kind of one of those symptoms of baseball. Sometimes over the course of a long season, you run into Michael Wacha was awesome on Friday night, mixing that changeup in. And they were missing two of their best players for pretty much the entire weekend. And then Kirk came back on Sunday. And I wasn't that worried about it. It was one of those situations where I was like, it was bound to happen. They were going to lose 6 out of 8 games after the insane heater that they were on. That's somewhat to be expected a little bit. And I was really looking at it, if they could just find a way to stop it in its tracks going into Colorado and get the bats back on track, then it would be more of a blip in the radar rather than a sign of something more serious to come. And lo and behold, they've scored 25 runs in the first 2 games. And it's the Rockies and Coors Field, but they're doing what they're supposed to do. And that's what teams in first place should be doing, is putting the boots to the Rockies.
We spent all last week talking about who's going to be added at the deadline, and there need some relievers, and what about a bat? We weren't talking about Dalton Varsho, but my God, dude, has his return to the lineup come with some serious fireworks.
It's really crazy. I know that sample size is what it is, but his on-base percentage was like 260 this year, and his slugging percentage is well over 600. It's just one of those weird things. Basically, anytime you get to hit, it's a double or a home run. And hey, that's fine. I know people get on Dalton Varsho for sometimes putting at bats that are less than stellar together, striking out, swinging through high fastballs. And that is what it is. But if you're going to play Gold Glove defense at a premium position like center field, and when you do connect, it's going 470 feet and you're setting a career high with 6 RBIs and you're smashing the ball all over the field, you'll live with the strikeouts and the lean times. he just has to do enough offensively and contribute enough in the power statistics to be a really valuable player with what he provides defensively. And if he can continue being this kind of prolific power hitter when he's able to connect, you're good with that down the stretch. And he can be a very important piece of the puzzle here as the Blue Jays look to hold off the Red Sox.
The wildest thing about this is that George Springer's going to come back. Barger's not even in the lineup today. Like, if everyone is healthy, it sure gives John Schneider a hell of a lot of options when he's putting this lineup together moving forward, and some tough decisions as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that part of the reason they didn't do more offensively at the trade deadline is because they felt as though Varsho coming back and then Springer and Kirk were both injured at the time of the trade deadline. You're looking at those guys coming back in, and who are you upgrading over? They could have done more, certainly. I know that there were a number of people who felt as though it was a missed opportunity to not bring in more impact in terms of a bat. But I have no real issue betting on the guys that have gotten you to this point. And there are going to be some interesting conversations or scenarios that are at play here because Andres Jimenez is close, I think, to coming back, rehab assignment. I don't know what the roster is going to look like when he is healthy. Joey Loperfido fouled the ball off his knee yesterday. I just don't see how you can send him down with how good he's been since they called him back up. And the only one that I could see is Miles Straw, but he fills a role on this team. Speed, defense, the occasional timely hit. He doesn't have any options. Maybe they option Loperfido or Schneider for a couple of weeks until the rosters expand in September, but that's not super ideal either. It's one of these good problems to have, I would say, but they're going to have to figure out a way to get Jimenez's place on the roster back. And if they do, whatever it looks like, he's not an everyday player for me. Like, I think he plays against righties. Clement plays against lefties. And maybe Clement, if he continues hitting like he did last night and the night before, maybe he plays more and Jimenez plays less. Like, I think there's going to be some musical chairs in terms of getting guys enough playing time for John Schneider. But like I said, one of those not so bad problems to have.
Yeah, I mean, Jimenez, I would imagine, maybe this wasn't the way that it was planned out, but, he may start on the bench and come in as a defensive replacement if the team is up in the late innings.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it through that lens because he just isn't realistically giving you much offensively. And I'd rather Ernie Clement's contact skills on a day in, day out basis, even if there are some lean times against right-handed pitching. We know the splits. He's like Barry Bonds against lefties and struggles against righties. But Jimenez has to, I think, earn more reps and opportunities coming back just because you're a Gold Glove caliber defensive player at second base and you've had some success at the plate in the past. He hasn't had success recently offensively. And I just don't think that they're in a position where they need to play him based on his reputation and based on his contract. This whole season has been about unlikely contributions from unlikely sources, and he hasn't been one of them. So I think you have to earn more playing time moving forward. Like, I don't think he has done enough to just be back in a position where he's going to play just because his name is Andres Jimenez.
I did see, back to Loperfido for a minute, I did see him enjoying some chicken parm and pasta in the clubhouse, as put forth by Jeff Hoffman, like a good Italian boy, eating his natural fave. Loperfido's been interesting, and I'll be honest, I wasn't that familiar with him before, and I think a lot of Jays fans have been sort of like, wait a second, who is this guy? Because he has been so good. Is he arriving sooner than maybe was expected? What were the circumstances that got him here, and where's his situation now with what he's done?
So it's a really interesting one. They got him in the Kikuchi trade last year, and he was a name. He played a bit for the Astros, has had a ton of tools, ton of power, like light tower power, hitting no doubt home runs, especially at AAA. But there were some real questions about his ability to make contact. And we saw that a little bit last year. The strikeouts were there, but but you saw the tools were there as well. Defensively on the bases, like he's an athlete, but there were just some question marks about would he hit enough, and people whispering, is this more of a quad A player as opposed to a major league contributor? And this year he didn't make the team out of spring, and the Blue Jays and their coaching staff basically said to him, find a way to make more contact. Like, let's make some adjustments, and at AAA, be more consistent putting the bat on the ball. And then when he got his opportunity a little while ago, a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, he's been a completely different hitter. The power hasn't necessarily been there, but he's cut way down on strikeouts, and he's increased the ability to make contact. And if you can do that, and then also obviously do what everyone expects and has hoped for in terms of the power, then you're talking about a pretty interesting player, because he has value defensively, like I said, on the bases. Now it's just all about kind of molding and connecting the power and the contact skills. But he's proven something to me and to, I think, a lot of people, that he's made legitimate strides here and looks like somebody that should be part of the conversation moving forward. A lot in the same way that I think Addison Barger has made some huge strides this year in some areas that he needed to. And if they can get that on top of what Barger's done with Loperfido, then you really like kind of the way that the position player group might take shape here moving forward.
Josh, what's the latest on Anthony Santander, and does he take another at bat for the Jays this year?
So John Schneider's been kind of, vague's not the right word, but he just hasn't, it's hard to know. Like, they're talking about 70% he's at right now. Like, I don't know if he's really even swinging much. Considering you look at where we are, there's less than 2 months of the season left. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I would personally, as we sit here on August the 6th or whatever it is, August 6th, that I would be surprised if he played another game for the Blue Jays this year. And it's obviously super disappointing. You signed him to be a presence in the middle of the lineup. He hit more than 40 home runs last year. He just never got off the tarmac this year. Struggled out of the gate, injured his shoulder, re-aggravated it, tried to play through it, probably was overcompensating. It just was a disaster. And I'm not necessarily going to sit here and say that I'm super confident that he's going to be this middle of the order bat, but I think I'm willing to give him a mulligan on this year. And if he was able to come back, that would be great, but I'm not expecting it. And I think you have to look at it as kind of a lost season and hope that he can put it behind him and not have any lingering effects of the shoulder issue for 2026, and hope that he can be closer to the player they envisioned when they gave him all that money.
Hey, speaking of lost seasons, what's the latest on Alek Manoah?
So that is another one that I would be surprised if he made much of an impact this year. He's working his way back through a simulated game over the weekend. I believe he has another rehab assignment start tomorrow on Thursday. He still really has work to do just in terms of how sharp he is and his overall stamina and workload. It could be one of these situations where he works his way back and spends the rest of the season at AAA. And then late in the season, if the Blue Jays don't really have anything to play for towards the end of the season. You remember Wes Parsons last year, I think, started the last game of the year because the Blue Jays had nothing to play for. Hopefully this time around, it's a different kind of circumstance where they have their playoff seeding all sewn up, and maybe they give Manoah a start at the end of the year to just kind of get his feet back wet at the major league level. But I would expect that he's going to spend the bulk of the remaining 7 weeks of the minor league season at AAA, and then hopefully show some signs of some positive momentum and head into the off season on a high note, and then maybe try and earn a rotation spot out of spring training next year.
Talking Jays with Josh Goldberg of Blue Jays Nation. 2:10 first pitch. So for those of you with us live, that's coming up in 25 minutes. So we'll be able to catch the late innings once we're finished WST today. Josh, the one guy we haven't mentioned was the one of the big acquisitions at the deadline, Shane Bieber. First of all, just thoughts on acquiring Bieber, and what's the plan for him right now? Because he has been making rehab starts, has not yet pitched this year, But the hopes are that he'll look like the Cy Young winner of a few years ago when he actually shows up in Toronto.
So I admired the swing. Ross Atkins, sometimes fairly, mostly fairly, I think, has earned a reputation for not taking big enough swings, like not necessarily being bold enough in terms of trades. This is a bold one. Like I don't think that the downside is as huge as some people might anticipate when you're trading a top end prospect like Cal Steven for far from a sure thing in Shane Bieber. But he, in terms of his pedigree and his overall talent, is certainly the best starting pitcher that was moved at the deadline. And the Jays needed a ceiling raiser on their rotation. They didn't need an Andrew Heaney to come in and throw some innings and be kind of somebody to provide some depth. They needed somebody who could come in and potentially start the first game of a playoff series. And it's far from a guarantee that Shane Bieber is going to be able to do that and pitching well enough to do that. But he is certainly capable of it. He's looking really good in the minors. His velocity is way up. His command has been excellent. That's been the story of his career. He strikes out so many guys and doesn't really walk anybody. I admire the swing. I take my cap off for going for it like that. I think he's probably got at least 2 more minor league starts. They probably want to get him in a position where they can feel comfortable about him at least going 5 innings as soon as he gets up here and maybe being at that 80 to 85 pitch mark. And if you can get more than that down the stretch, you'll take it. But I think he is going to be exciting to watch. Even if he's not the pitcher he was 5 years ago, if he's the pitcher he was even last year in 2 starts, he was dominant. And 2 years ago, he was an above average pitcher. The potential is there. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited to see how it plays out. And again, I admire the gumption to go for a pitcher, make a move for a pitcher who hasn't pitched this season and has only thrown two starts since the beginning of 2024.
You know what's interesting? Since we last spoke on the show, Josh, the Blue Jays have been sort of middling. They didn't have a great. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Mm-hmm. It's the Red Sox now that are in the closest in the rearview mirror, because the New York Yankees absolutely stink. Mm-hmm. I mean, you get swept by the Marlins, and dude, that 13-12 game where they threw in all the 3 top relievers that they had just acquired at the deadline, and all 3 of them threw up all over themselves. Like, there are a large group of people that are just Yankee haters. Those people are loving it right now. And man, Aaron Boone is on the hot seat, and he does not seem to have any answers.
Yeah, and the Yankees are only a half game up on just being in the playoffs altogether. And it's just been a weird season for them. Judge is back, and Stanton has been their best hitter lately, but they can't play him because Judge needs to DH right now because of his elbow. And Stanton, it's not, you don't want him in the outfield if you can avoid it.
What are his defensive analytics, Josh?
Disaster. Absolute disaster. So in the Yankees option, Jake Bird, who they got from Colorado at the deadline after a couple of disastrous outings. Devin Williams, his ERA is approaching 6. It's been a nightmare, complete mismatch with New York. It's just, I think they'll make the playoffs, but I'm not as certain as I was, because there's holes obviously on that roster. And everyone was talking about the Yankees at the deadline because they had a good trade deadline in theory. They made moves. They addressed some big areas of deficiency, or so we thought, on the roster. And then people were criticizing the Red Sox because they really didn't do anything. They got Dustin May and Steven Matz, and then otherwise left their roster largely untouched. They didn't go for Joe Ryan despite being connected to him. And they just are continuing to get it done. Their bullpen's been great. Their starting pitching has been good. Their lineup's awesome. So it does certainly look like the Red Sox are the team that is going to be the most serious challenger to the Blue Jays. Because I believe, what are the Yankees, 6.5 back now of the Blue Jays? And if you add in the tiebreaker, that's 7.5 back. That's quite a hill to climb with less than 2 months left in the season. Whereas the Red Sox, maybe they'll have a Blue Jays-esque run that they're on right now, and then have a Blue Jays-esque kind of lose 6 out of 8 to give some ground back. It's hard to sustain that level of winning for that long of a stretch. So if the Jays can just continue to keep the lead at a couple of games, 3-4 games, hopefully the Red Sox will give a little bit back. back and they'll be able to keep them at bay. But they'll see them later in the schedule, and that's obviously going to be a massive series.
Yeah, the Royals, the Red Sox right now have won their last 2 against the Royals, 7 in a row, 9-1 in their last 10. They are hot, and it looks like Roman Anthony, Jeff Passan reporting earlier today, he's getting an 8-year, $130 million extension with ESPN sources through Passan tell ESPN. Hey, just on the way out, we got the finisher today against Colorado, a day off, and then a pretty juicy series on the weekend. You want to test yourself and see if you're ready for World Series competition? What better place to do that than Dodger Stadium?
Yeah, no question. And the Dodgers are starting to, it's like the Death Star is starting to be reassembled here. Blake Snell is back. Max Muncy came back, hit 2 home runs in his second game yesterday. The one thing that continues to just baffle me is Mookie Betts has an OPS of like 670. I don't know what's going on there. I don't think he's just fallen off a cliff. He had some serious illness at the start of the year. Maybe that's impacted him more than we know, where he lost like 15 pounds in a couple weeks. But yeah, no matter what the Dodgers are doing, and they've had a disappointing season relative to their insane standards, that's still they're the litmus test in Major League Baseball. Like, if you want to be considered a great team, beating the Dodgers is always a good step in that direction. And I would expect they're going to be there deep into October. They're the favorites heading into October, no matter what happens in the regular season, because of the collection of talent that they have. Late night is always good, and you guys in the Central Time Zone, those 10-10 games are 9-10. 9-10 is 8-10. Weekend primetime baseball, Dodger Stadium's about as beautiful of a venue as it gets in sports. There's not much better, so it should be a fun weekend.
Josh, great stuff as always. We'll let you get to the couch and get ready for the finale of this series in Denver. See whether there's as many balls leaving the park as they've done the last couple days. It's been a good day for over-betters and Jay's run line bets. So see whether they can finish the job and then get ready for what should be an awesome weekend in LA. Thanks as always, pal.
Appreciate it, Huss. Talk to you soon.
There's Josh Goldberg with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk. Jays and Rockies coming up in just a little bit. We're going to bring in Brandon Rewucki, get Rue's thoughts on where the Jets are going from here. And I got actually a couple questions for him of some players that, are potentially available or not signed yet. We'll get to that. But, of course, Princess Auto Stadium was absolutely bananas last Friday. And I expect no different next Thursday when the Bombers return home to take on the Ottawa Red Blacks. Thursday night game, 7:30. Grab your tickets. Let's see if we can pack that place for a 10th straight game of sellouts at Princess Auto Stadium. Of course, Princess Auto, proud sponsors of the Bombers and Winnipeg Sports Talk, and the place where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list or start something new is waiting for you over at Princess Auto. Pop by and see them, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, Brandon location as well. Or you can shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Big cheers to our friends at Canadian Club. Got a chance on the weekend to enjoy a few of those delicious offerings in the CC Club Pack. Don't forget, keep your eyes open. Your local Manitoba liquor marts, the CC and Ginger, the half and half iced tea lemonade, and the citrus smash, all delicious cocktails ready to go in cans. And Bomber fans, while you're at your local Manitoba liquor marts, be sure to look for the special Winnipeg Blue Bomber label. Canadian Club, Canada's favorite Canadian whiskey and the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Just before we bring in Brandon, don't forget, guys, if you're looking into your closet and realize you got to up your menswear game heading into fall and winter, get down to F Apparel. I did see someone saying, make sure to go to F Apparel to get your duds if you're lucky enough to get an invite to the Lowry wedding. Listen, they're synonymous with weddings and have a great offer for wedding parties. If you are getting married or in a wedding party, make sure to talk to the fellas about a special discount when you get your suits for the big day. But listen, custom suits starting at $400, chinos, golf pants, custom shirts, tucked and untucked styles, the best selection of menswear accessories. It's all waiting for you at 190 Smith Street downtown at F Apparel. Check their website out And you can also book an appointment there as well at that's EPH apparel.com. All right, let's welcome in Brandon Rewucki to the program. Rew, what's up? How was the long weekend for you?
Well, working for an American company, sometimes.
So it wasn't a long weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get Labor Day. Basically, I just got to survive until the end of November, and then I'll make do with American Thanksgiving and all that. So
yes,
we got a couple more months to go here, and then I'll be living the high life. But long weekend was all right though. Wife's birthday, so that was a nice little timeout. But
nice.
Yeah, ready to go.
A belated happy birthday to Mrs. Rewucki. I know you guys have lots on your hands. I'm sure you got about 10 minutes to yourselves to enjoy the day. Why do you think Jack Roslovic isn't signed yet? And where is Jack Ross? Like, I was listening to Elliot Friedman earlier today, and they basically have said, I mean, if you look at who is still available from the free agent class, Roslovic sort of stands out as a player with significantly higher offensive upside than just about anybody else. I just imagine he just sort of missed out on some of the good deals, and there just hasn't been an offer that has seemed to be worth jumping on right now. But again, once you get into August, most teams are pretty set. They know what they're doing. Bit of a precarious predicament, I would say, for the former Winnipeg Jet.
Yeah, it might be one of those situations where, I mean, it's tough to say. You don't know if he's waiting on a team to make a move. That's kind of what I imagine might be the case here, especially when you hear some of the teams that have been in on him. The Maple Leafs maybe being the most likely there, where maybe it's one of those situations, hey, we got to make a move or two and it's going to happen. And then we'll bring you into the fold, but we can't do anything until that point. So maybe that's the situation he finds himself in. But there's always one or two guys each offseason that, it's kind of the peril of, playing a hard line on July 1 is, hey, you might get a great deal on July 2nd or July 3rd, or the musical chairs have been filled and it's PTO time. I don't anticipate it being that dire for him, and I think he'll still find himself in a good situation here. Realistically, though, with all his faults still, this is one of the better pieces you can find available heading into the month of August, right? Like, he will be an impactful player for a team in a middle six scoring, probably sheltered role at this point. But he had a hell of a year with the Hurricanes, all things considered, last year. It didn't go so well come playoff time, which is probably why he finds himself unsigned right now. But it's not like, he's a guy that's going to be fighting for an NHL job next year. He's probably going to put up 30 some odd points, maybe 40 points and be a solid guy for a team. It's just, this is the situation you find yourself in. And yeah, hopefully you're able to wrangle some kind of a decent coinage on a 1-year deal. And then you got a lot of motivation to make that a multi-year engagement next time around.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like he's where Max Domi was a few years ago, just bouncing around from team on a 1-year deal. Didn't quite work out, go somewhere else and see what's up. But I still think he's got a lot of talent. I thought he showed quite well at times last year with Carolina, and he just sort of stands out as a bit of an aberration. And who knows, maybe there were some offers right on that teams pivoted and went elsewhere. He didn't think it was, but sometimes that's a dangerous game to play if you do have offers on the table and you don't jump them. You mentioned Toronto as being interested in him, which is sort of interesting because they have so many bodies. Like, the Marner move out with the players that they brought in has made things pretty, like, right now, they've got 14 forwards on their roster, and that does not include the former first-rounder Easton Cowan, who they are going to be, who, by all accounts, is going to have a chance to make the team. Which brings me to a player that I personally am interested in, and from a Jets perspective, if there was a chance to maybe see if you could pull something off to get him, and that's Nick Robertson. Nick Robertson just avoided arbitration with a 1-year, $1.8 million deal. He will still be an RFA at the end of next year. It's kind of funny when we talk about Ville Heinola, former first rounder, or even Stanley that's had a tough time staying in the lineup. Robertson has sort of been that guy in Toronto but I would say more so than those two Jets I mentioned, when he's actually been in the lineup, it hasn't always been good, but he has shown that there is an element to his game that can be productive and can help you win. Just thoughts on Robertson on this 1-year deal, and if the Leafs are looking at potentially moving him, would the Winnipeg Jets be wise to be in on it?
I mean, I wouldn't be massively opposed to it. I do think, especially for a team like the Maple Leafs, and I get guys can thrive in other locations, but they were so desperate for scoring outside the big guys, and they just couldn't get it from anybody that, you know, if they felt like he was a viable option, they would have given him more and more opportunities. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to get it done. Like I see Nick Robertson, and he reminds me of so many quad A players where it's like too good for the AHL, but you just can't find your footing in the NHL. You know, he plays a different style of game, but does it not remind you a lot of Nick Petan? Where, you know, obviously Petan more of a playmaker, right? But like he didn't have a spot in the AHL, right? But he could just never really find his footing and get consistent game time, you know, game in and game out with the Winnipeg Jets and a couple other stops across the NHL. And I feel like that's ultimately what we're going to see Nick Robertson end up becoming. But his big skill is the hardest thing to do in the sport, which is goal scoring. And he's got a hell of a shot. He's got a great release. You know, he's got speed. He's a guy that I wouldn't mind taking a flyer on. But if another team were to offer more than my initial ask, I'm not going to lose too much sleep over not. Like, I don't see this becoming a Gus Forsling situation where he's going to blossom into a 35 goal scorer or something like that. But if it's basically pennies on the dollar, yeah, he can come in and try to grab a spot with a lot of competition that the Jets have in terms of young forwards trying to sneak in somewhere maybe in the middle six.
Well, hey, listen, maybe the Leafs would like to save a little bit of cap room and get a depth defenseman on their roster and move Nick Robertson, and he can come in and compete for a spot with the forward group here in the Winnipeg Jets. Like, I mean, I don't think that would necessarily get the job done, and you'd probably have to throw in a pick or something like that. But, I mean, 14 goals and 27 points the year before in like 56 games. He played 69 games last year, obviously in different spots in the lineup, but still was able to score 15. Like, I don't rule out him being able to hit 20, maybe more than that, if he, you know, got comfortable on a line and, you know, potentially got a little bit of power play time, which is something that I think if he's at his best and maybe has another gear in him, could be something that, you know, would help a team like the Winnipeg Jets. It's going to be looking to fill that offense that's gone with Nikolai Ehlers wearing a Carolina jersey.
Yeah, and it's funny, like from Toronto's side of things, they've probably gone a year or two past where he could have been a legitimate asset in trade talks for them, like to pick up a bigger piece. And I just can't imagine the value is, I mean, you see what the contract is, right? The value is going to be pretty minimal across the league. I laugh with the Maple Leafs, Huss, in that, you know, there's so much talk about scoring this, do this up front, spread the wealth, load it up. But they still haven't addressed what I think is the big elephant in the room there, and that's the fact that Morgan Rielly isn't a top pair defenseman or your number one defenseman on a Stanley Cup winning team. And it seemed like maybe they were getting some traction on that, or at least kicking it around earlier this offseason. Can't really imagine a move goes down now, but they're always going to be an interesting spot, right? Just because of the spotlight they find themselves in. We'll see, though. Maybe, hey, you know, we see the Patrick Ewing effect take place all over. I know, you know, Marner wasn't the only big dog out there in Toronto, but maybe less is more approach might work for the Leafs this year.
Well, our pal JBM, Jake from Coolbet, has just entered the chat, and it said, take it from me, Huss, and all Jets fans for that matter, you don't want Nick Robertson. So there is a voice from Southern Ontario who's seen a lot of Nick Robertson with his thoughts on the matter. Let me ask you about the Penguins for a minute. Brian Rust, coming off a couple great seasons. I mean, yes, he's into his 30s, but he has been very, very productive. His note trade protection evaporated on the 1st of July. And I actually thought that Dubas might aggressively try and move that piece right at that point as they continued their rebuild. He's still in Pittsburgh right now. Do you anticipate it stays that way? And just thoughts on where Pittsburgh's at right now, their off season, knowing that these are the final years of Sidney Crosby's career. Sid should be in the playoffs. Is there any chance they get there? I don't see it personally right now. To me, they're almost thinking as much about Gavin McKenna as they are about Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, it's just about time in their life cycle to maybe there's a bankruptcy declarement sometime soon, and then the next generational superstar gets drafted number one. Outside of that, though, it's a great time as a Flyers fan to watch where the Penguins are at. I think there's legitimate possibility they are one of the 3 worst teams in hockey this year. I'm shocked that they haven't moved at least one of Rust or Raquel so far. I just so many teams were just desperate for any semblance of a top 6 option to inject some kind of skill and whatever else you want to add in there into their lineup, where you saw some of the crazy contracts going around out there. And Rust and Raquel were better than just about all of them, and he's been holding on to them so far. And I don't really understand the logic in that, because again, if you're Pittsburgh, great that Crosby and Malkin are there doing their swan song, but it should be, how can we make this team to a certain degree as bad as possible to set us up to get into those McKenna sweepstakes, considering where Chicago and San Jose are at right now. So I didn't think we'd see both of them on the Penguins roster to start the year. I honestly thought they'd move both those guys, let alone just one of them. But I mean, I've said before, I think Rust would be almost a perfect, not replacement, but a perfect setup guy on a line with Scheifele and Connor, where you can drop Velarde down to line 2, see what he's able to do with Perfetti and Taves most likely, and you can spread the wealth out a little bit. But Brian Rust kind of becomes this supercharged grinder, do all the nasty things you need, and comes with the playoff pedigree, the championship pedigree, all the stuff you want for a team that's looking to get into the Final Four for the first time in 6-7 years, right? So, I mean, Rust would be a tremendous fit here in Winnipeg. The problem is, guess what? I would say there's 9 teams that also feel like he would be a tremendous fit within their top 6. So, it's just weird, because it doesn't seem like there's been any major sweepstakes or
it's
a
been
huge
so
rush.
quiet.
Like they're not really. It doesn't seem like Dubas is trying to move either one of these guys out at this point. And it's not even like he's trying to get a bidding war going. It's like, we'll deal with this in 4 months. And I just kind of feel like it's a lose all around.
I really wonder what it would take. Because, I mean, by all accounts, Sidney Crosby has never said anything other than he plans to retire as a Pittsburgh Penguin and a Penguin for life. And, I mean, listen, I kind of do get it. He's done it all. I mean, there's nothing that he hasn't won. And it is something special, much like his mentor, Mario Lemieux, of being a legend with one franchise. I do wonder, though, how bad it might get over the next year or two. I think most fans, if you ask them, I mean, listen, let's get Sid to a place where he can be an impact player, help a team win, and at least be back in the playoffs. But he just doesn't seem like that type of a guy to do that. And I do wonder how bad it would need to get for him to say, you know what, okay, maybe this is the time. Because I'm with you. I do think that if Kyle Dubas had the opportunity to do it, I mean, there's no way to supercharge a rebuild more than moving an asset like Sidney Crosby if he was down for it.
Yeah, the problem, there's just certain levels of player. And by levels, I mean maybe like 10 or 15 in history, where you can't even take into account normal roster building practices, right? And I mean, you could even make the case too with Malkin and Letang along with Crosby, right? Where, this is just kind of the bed you're laying in, where it's like, look, this is the swan song, and we're able to sell it. The thing with that, though, is like they're going to be able to sell tickets. Not a ton, obviously. It's not going to be sellout crowds, 20K each game to watch these guys, right? But like they're going to sell significantly more with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang in the mix than they would without them. And they're as great as Crosby is still. Like, they're going to be a brutal team regardless, right? Like maybe they go from 5th worst with all these guys to 3rd worst without them. You know what I mean? Like, so there isn't, you wonder if, we're not going to be all that much bad or worse without these guys. Let's just keep them and everybody's happy and you can kind of enjoy, a once in a lifetime experience watching these 3 play out their careers in Pittsburgh. I'm with you where Crosby's just a different guy. Like he's made it very clear. Like he's never once openly even given consideration to playing in a different city in Jersey outside.
Shut it down immediately.
Yeah, like and everybody's kind of they do the Colorado thing, they do the Montreal thing. It's like he's made it very clear. Like he just wants to play in Pittsburgh. He's more than happy to do it. He's taken less money year after year to stay there. His family's happy. I think he's well aware that they are a bad hockey team. Like none of this is taking him by surprise.
He was on the team last year. He saw it firsthand.
He's well aware. He plays 20 minutes a night. Like he's been carrying them for how long now? I think too, honestly, the biggest reason that I'll be shocked if he's moved this year at all, and really ever, is that it's almost like the Winter Olympics come at the perfect time, where it's like, oh, okay, I can scratch my competitive itch there.
Listen,
and then once that's done, yeah, we'll suck, we'll lose but like I got that, and
that's Sid's playoffs this year.
Exactly.
They'll be hopefully leading Canada to a gold medal. Well, listen, I think that once training camp gets going, we'll start to hear some more mumbles, and once we see them get out of the gate, and if it's a poor start as most would expect, I'm sure more of that talk will happen. And if it's not Sidney, I mean, Russ doesn't have that same trade protection. Did hear rumor that Sid had a 30-team no trade clause. Every team except the Jets. Fully down to come here to win it. I'm joking. People
That's huge.
that would be wonderful. The thought of Sid. What do you think it would cost? Like if they traded Sid, say they said, you know what, we've just talked to him and he's got 2 years left or 1? I think he's got 2 years left on his deal. I will check that while we do it. But I mean, what would the cost to a 39-year-old Sidney Crosby be? Sorry, 37 with 2 years left at 8.7.
I mean,
I think that's still a big haul.
Yeah, it's going to be but the only thing is that, and I imagine Kyle Dubas would operate this way, is that if you were to trade him, it would be first and foremost, Sid, where do you want to go?
Yeah.
And if it's one team, damn, we're not going to get a big haul back for him, right? But like it's one of those things where it's like you can give us 3 teams, you can give us 1 team, but we're going to do right by you. And that's going to basically, take into account what we get back from a team in a trade. But like if you had a bidding war and he was open to going to a contender, how many more impactful pieces have been traded at the deadline in the last 20 years? Even at his age, I don't think there is one.
No, and teams, I think, would jump at it, not only because they know it would make them better, but the amount of merch, the amount of asses in seats. I mean, if you weren't already sold out every single game, you sure as hell would be with Sidney Crosby there. And I mean, there's a big financial boon to the organization too, which I do think plays into what the Penguins could legitimately ask for in a deal like that. Something tells me we won't really get down this road very far because I don't think it's happening. But in the middle of August, with not else going on, always fun to talk to. Brandon, great stuff as always. Thanks for doing this. Enjoy the week, and gonna have to start talking on some NFL over the next few weeks as we wait for training camps in the NHL to open. Preseason is on right now, and as they say, we'll hit that next week. We'll get the latest on the Birds.
There we go.
And the rest of the team. You have a good one, pal. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, sounds good. You too. We'll talk soon.
All right, we do have a bunch of Bomber talk coming up, and CFL 110 is live right after Winnipeg Sports Talk, so stick around for that. We will hear from Zach Collaros, and Nic Demski is going to be joining us in about 15 minutes from now. Looking to talk some tennis for just a couple minutes before this big semifinal tonight in Montreal. We'll have John Horn join us in just a few. Do want to thank Royal Sports for their great support of WST. lots of excitement about the upcoming season, Fan Fest and whatnot. If you want to get that Jonathan Taves jersey, Gabriel Velarde, Dylan Sandberg, or your favorite Jet player, get on down to Royal Sports and they will get you done up with your favorite player, name, number, and all, just the way the pros wear. And, of course, a great selection of Bomber gear as well, including many exclusives you won't find anywhere else, just in time for the Bombers and Red Blacks back at Princess Auto Stadium next week. And, hey, while you're at it, summer, synonymous with hockey 12 months a year. They are the biggest hockey superstores. You get ready for the upcoming season, but still have great deals on soccer, baseball, softball, tennis, running, bikes, and more. And of course, for you weekend warriors, check out their amazing Yeti section as well. It's all waiting for you at Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Check them out on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merch drops and sale information. And hey, Boston Pizza be a great place to be this weekend. Lots of football, of course. Bombers, Calgary on Saturday night. No better place to gather with your gang for the road games than your local BP. You can try all the great treats on their new summer menu, including the Cherry Cola Beef Sliders, which I had last week and were very, very good. Of course, ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more. Always waiting for you at your local Boston Pizza. All right, we're going to talk some tennis for a few minutes before Nic Demski joins us. First, though, let's give a big cheers to Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, now in the Winnipeg airport, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's bring in our go-to guy on all things tennis, John Horn, because a huge, huge moment for a young rising star in Canadian tennis tonight on home turf in Montreal as Victoria Mboko plays her first ever WAT semifinal. After dispatching of the number one seed Coco Gauff, John Horn joins us now. And John, what a magical run for this young Canadian star in Victoria Mboko.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great, and it's great for Canadian tennis. It's great for the tournament. It's good for sports fans in general because you know how the summer often is. It's predominantly once the golf season starts to wind down, then we start talking about baseball. I know we are getting ramped up for NFL training camps and that sort of thing, but tennis sort of is a opportunity in the summer to really get some attention towards it, and certainly to have a Canadian in the semifinals, and the fact that it's Victoria Mboko, who's just 18 years old, has really just burst onto the scene this year, is certainly good for all sports fans in general, whether you're a huge tennis fan or not. It certainly catches the eyeballs of sports fans in general.
John, you're so dialed in the tennis world. I mean, what have the reactions been from people around it on her run, and in particular the stunning upset in straight sets of Coco Gauff, one of the top players on the planet?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really impressive. I mean, look, Mboko's been on the radar for people who have been following tennis. People were looking at how she did earlier this year. She went 22-0 to start the year. She won 4 titles on the ITF circuit, which is just a step below the WTA circuit. But certainly not what I would consider the junior ranks of tennis by any stretch. There's a lot of good players who play on that tour, and she got a lot of wins, and she got a lot of dominant wins. So really to start the year the way that she did, and then, to get a main draw appearance in Miami, her first 1,000 event of her career, and then wins her first match. That sort of suddenly, because that was on American television on Tennis Channel in the U.S., and that suddenly sort of caught some more eyeballs. And then it went from there. She played Coco Gauff on the clay, actually, in another 1,000 event earlier this year, lost in 3 sets. So took her to 3 sets in that match, got through French Open qualifying, and then got into the French Open main draw, won a couple matches there, got into the Wimbledon main draw. She was a lucky loser, lost in qualifying, but because somebody pulled out, she got into Wimbledon, won a match there. So really, it's been sort of a progression throughout the year, really starting off with that strong stretch that sort of caught people's attention. And look, I mean, she's got all the tools. She hits a big ball. She's got a huge serve. She had 37 aces in her first 2 matches of the tournament. She's only the 5th player since 2008 to do that in a tournament, to get 12 aces or more in a match in a tournament. So that's pretty impressive. So she's got the big serve. She's got a big backhand. And she's also got the really good attitude on court. She doesn't look like she's nervous out there. She looks like she's enjoying the moment. She's got a great personality. For an 18-year-old, very strong speaker. When you see interviews with her, she's very composed, very grounded, very solid. So, it's good. It's good to see because, I know Bianca Andreescu hasn't had the success since her run at the U.S. Open where she won it in 2019. Leilani Fernandez, she's won a couple of smaller tournaments. She won Washington not long ago, which was a nice win for her. A 500 event, got through some really tough players at that tournament, including Rewucki, who Mboko is playing tonight. So can't take anything away from her, but she hasn't had the best success since 2021 when she got to the U.S. Open finals. So now to have a third Canadian and Victoria Mboko come along and have this success, I think it's a great thing. And, she's just one of many young Canadian tennis players who are starting to make a mark on the sport. She's just taken it to another level.
Fill us in on this match tonight against Rybakina. She's the 9th seed. She is a favorite, but I mean, Vicky, she's upset a few players so far, including someone that was favored to win the entire thing. Set up this match for us. So, what do you think her chances are of making the final?
I mean, I think her chances are quite good, to be honest with you. Rewucki is a player who's won a Grand Slam. She won Wimbledon a couple of years ago. She's a really powerful player. She's probably got one of the strongest serves in the game, leads the tour in aces, big forehand, big ground stroke. She's not the greatest mover. But I think Mboko, it's just riding a little bit of momentum. She's obviously going to have the crowd behind her. Rewucki is one of those players where you think that she'll beat an opponent, or she should beat an opponent, and she just doesn't play well. So you never really know what you're going to get from Rewucki. I mean, on paper, is she the favorite? Of course. But I just, there's something about the way that things have gone for Mboko so far. I mean, she's won all of her matches. 4 of the 5 matches she's played, she's won in straight sets. She's only lost 1 set in the tournament. She'll have the crowd behind her. She's obviously playing with house money, so to speak. Just to get to the semifinals at this event is big. Would she like to go to the final? Of course. Would she like to win it? Of course. But, she is playing with house money, let's be honest. And I think she matches up well. I think she's going to have to return well against the Rewucki serve. One advantage, though, is that they did play each other in Washington, about 10 days ago or so. Rewucki winning that match in straight sets. So I kind of look at it like the Coco Gauff setup, where she played Gauff earlier in the year, took her to 3 sets, ended up losing, but had a really good look at Gauff's game, and then turns around and plays Gauff here in Montreal, and then ends up winning that match quite handily. And Gauff didn't play very well, but still full credit to Mboko for playing well. So maybe it's an opportunity where Mboko's seen Rewucki and knows what's going to be coming and has seen her play, and now has a chance for revenge, so to speak. So maybe the same situation. But I like her chances. I think she can definitely go 3 sets with Rewucki. Like I said, she's an up and down kind of player. She can be up 4-1 in a set and then lose a set 6-4 very easily. She sometimes gets nervous out there, and with the crowd favoring Mboko for sure, I think that there's a chance that she could get through this and win it.
You know what? Listen, you see these tournaments, and I don't know what it is. You can maybe speak to why it seems that there are so many more big upsets on the women's side than the men's side, but there is the potential of having 2 unseeded players in the final of this tournament. Yeah. And normally that might be a bit of a blow to organizers. Not in this case, because if Mboko could do it, it would be a huge story, period.
Yeah.
But waiting on the other side is former Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka, one of the biggest stars in the sport, who is playing pretty darn good tennis right now in her comeback as well.
Yeah, I mean, former world number 1 at one point. I mean, she's won 4 Grand Slams. Look, Osaka hasn't really had the success that she had when she had her run where she was winning slams. She went and had a baby and then came back and has never really found her groove. She won an event earlier this year, a lower tier event. But that's really it. Like, she hasn't really had a lot of success. She's flipped some coaches. She's got a new coach actually this week, Iga Swiatek's former coach, and she dumped Patrick Mortoglu, the famous Serena Williams coach. So new voice in her corner, and I think it'll be interesting to see how that relationship goes, because Osaka is a different player. Let's put it that way. She beats her own drum. She's got a different personality for sure. But the fact that she's able to get to the semis and could get to a final and being unseeded, Mboko Osaka would be the dream matchup. You'd like to see in Montreal. That would be excellent. I think it would be great for the fans. Look, Montreal does a really nice job of showing up for tennis. You could have the 150th player against the 200th player, and the place will be packed. They're very passionate about their tennis in Montreal. They always put on a good show in Montreal, no matter who's playing. So, of course, Mboko Osaka would be the dream matchup, and it's very possible that we could see that. I certainly think it's a possibility. And you're right, there have been more upsets on the women's side than the men's. Obviously Sinner and Alcaraz not in Toronto, so that helps the cause a little bit, but we have seen some of the big stars, Goff and Swiatek, losing in Montreal. So it's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes it's upsets on the men's side, sometimes it's the women's. It just happens to be women's this time.
Yeah, some nice matches in Toronto as well. Zverev, the 1 seed against Karl Khachanov, and then 2 versus 4, Fritz versus Shelton. Battle of the two Americans in the semis in Toronto.
First time two Americans have played in a 1,000 event semi, I think in about 20, almost like 17, 18 years, something like that. So that's a bit surprising when you consider, they got a 9 or 10 1,000 events throughout the year. So surprised that hasn't happened, especially with the growth of men's tennis on the American side. When Fritz and Shelton, I guess, is not surprising, because those two players are right at the top of the world rankings, and both played really well. This will be Shelton's first time in a 1,000 semifinal, so new ground for him. Fritz has been there before, but when you look at the American players that are out there, you could throw Francis Tiafoe in that mix, Sebastian Korda. There's a bunch of Americans who are really starting to make a name for themselves. Alex Michelson too. So I think that I'm surprised by that stat. Let's put it that way. But I think we'll see some good matchups, and it should be fun.
Well, listen, no football tonight. The Jays are playing in the afternoon, wide open for some incredible tennis tonight, and we'll be watching. John, thanks so much for doing this as always, and enjoy the semis and what should be 2 great finals in the 2 national championships.
Never know. Next time we talk, we might have another Canadian Open winner on home soil, matching what Bianca Andreescu did. Hard to believe that's 6 years ago now, but this time it would be in Montreal. Bianca's was in Toronto, and she didn't get a full match because Serena pulled out. So let's see Mboko get 2 more wins and hoist the trophy and get it done.
Looking forward to it tonight. Thanks for doing this, pal.
You got it, man. Talk to you.
There's John Horn, our tennis go-to guy at Sportshorn on X for more of that. All right. A little earlier when we were talking to Brandon, we threw out the why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. It was just polling if there's interest amongst you on Nick Robertson. We heard from Jake from Coolbet, a Leaf guy, said hell no. But some interesting stuff. Let's get to fan feedback brought to you by Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling Winnipeg tickets on the resale market. Of course, Jets season just around the corner. But right now, the Bomber seats are going fast at fansfirst.ca. Bomber games are listed at Fans First, so if the game is sold out for a 10th straight time and you're dying for a ticket, check out fansfirst.ca at a great place if you have seats you're looking to get rid of to sell them on the secondary market. No fees. What you see is what you pay at fansfirst.ca. Milner had a few darts in here. Can't wait to trade for Patrick Kane at the deadline. And comment says we need to save some cash for the deadline. As I said, Jake mentioned you do not want Nick Robertson. Tyson Ducharme, I'd rather give Barron those minutes. Miller says Robertson doesn't fit in our forward group. And here's another one. Nick doesn't, I'm not so sold on Nick, but a hard yes to brother Jason. You can give us your thoughts in a bunch of comments on Sidney Crosby as well. And Tyson says, I think Sidney Crosby decides to move on. On all these topics, you can hit us up in the chat right now for Fans First, fan feedback, by fans, for fans, no fees. Check out the site today at fansfirst.ca. All right, we're going to hear from Zach Collaros, who was back in practice a little bit later on. Remis will do a touchdown dance for a big win last night at the Downs. We will hit the Coolbet lines. And by the way, if you missed the start of the program, we are teaming up with Coolbet to send a couple of you with me to the Labor Day Classic in Regina. So stay tuned for details on how you enter that. But right now, let's talk Bombers and bring in our guy, Nic Demski from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to WST, coming off that wild win Friday night. Nick, what's up, man? Great to have you back on the show.
Sure.
How you doing?
Always good to be back.
What's the vibe around
Good,
the team?
yeah. We just finished practice.
I was just going to say the vibe around the team. I mean, listen, 3 losses. We haven't seen that for a while. It seemed like it was a bit of an ornery group. And, man, it took everybody on Friday night to get back in the win column. How are the boys feeling after that big win at another sold-out Princess Auto Stadium Friday night?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, the vibes are good. Everybody's ready to get this thing going. Obviously, the start of the season, started out well. A little bit of a lull there, but, after a big win, getting back in that W column, I mean, we're ready to go. We're ready to stick with each other and get this thing going.
We've never had a conversation talking to you during this period that the team has been so good about 2 back-to-back losses the way it went down against Calgary. I don't want to call this a revenge game. It's a huge game in the West, just first and foremost. But how excited are you guys getting another crack at a team that served it up pretty good in a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I mean, Calgary is a good football team. I mean, there's no secret about that. They gave it to us pretty good these last 2 times. So, again, no secret about that. They have the season series. So right now it's more of just a statement game, not for Calgary, but for ourselves to, make sure that we're back on track. We're going to stay in this win column and we play our brand of football.
The Calgary defense was lauded, rightfully so, for their play right throughout. I mean, they went into Saskatchewan, won, had the 2 wins against the Bombers. You've been in this league for a while. What is it about that Calgary defense that was such a problem for the Bombers in those first 2 games?
Yeah, they're a good defense. I mean, they play really well together. You can tell, all their players are really bought into what they're trying to do over there. They swarm around. I think they're well coached because they know where their weak points are in their defense, and they swarm to the ball really well when it goes there. So, we just got to take advantage of what they give us, and at the same time, we just got to play our brand of football and create those explosions and stay on the field. And I think the biggest thing is ending each drive with some points. That's going to be the main thing.
The defense stepped up so big in that game on Friday night. You've been a teammate of Willie Jefferson's for a long time. What can you say about the game that he had Friday night? He seemed to be a one-man wrecking crew out there, and we were looking at the Pro Football Focus numbers. He is potentially the best single-game score player ranking that they've done in any pro league for his game on Friday night. He was just an absolute beast.
Yeah, Willie's a dog. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Willie. He's a leader. He plays the game hard. He plays it right. So, I mean, with what he can do, not only rushing the quarterback, but also, sitting back and being able to bat down the ball in big time moments. I mean, that's huge. So, when a quarterback's already thinking about, the guys rushing him, and all of a sudden now he has to think about throwing over the guys that are on the defensive line. I mean, our defensive line did a great job. DBs did a good job as well. So, our defense definitely came out to play.
I've got to ask you, I mean, the early in the game, there was a field goal that went off the post, and then, that unfortunate pick 6 off the deflected pass, and all of a sudden the team is down 7-0. And the next thing that happened was Trey Vival taking that to the house, the kickoff. Yeah. How, I mean, listen, knowing what you guys were up against without your starting quarterback and all of a sudden being in that 7-0 hole, How big of a play was that? And obviously the other return, very impactful as well. But, to come back immediately after a really unfortunate play and get right back on even terms.
Yeah, huge. I mean, Trey, he's been doing a great job, hitting the hole and trying to make the return game happen. And, everybody on this team knew that he was due for one soon. So, in the moment and the timing of it all, it was unreal. And, our team needed that. And then for him to cap it off with another one, I mean, yeah, it's just huge, man. He's a good player. He adds a lot of juice and energy, and he deserves it. And, special teams deserves it as well.
Hey, speaking of juice and energy, 9 straight sellouts for Bomber fans at Princess Auto Stadium. Listen, being in the crowd and walking around, I mean, you probably don't see this because you're kind of more focused on other things, but it was for a Friday night going into August long weekend, sold out crowd with Manitoba. But I mean, you're a Winnipeg guy. This just keeps on growing and growing. What's it like to see the support you guys have here as opposed to what other teams are trying to get to around the league, knowing that pretty much every time you guys go to Princess Auto Stadium, there's 32K plus behind the Bombers?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's an unreal feeling. Just even for the fans to stick behind us. We played a lot of good football, and we just got to keep it going. I mean, that the type of juice and energy that they give to us, and the way that we're able to rally behind them just as much as they rally behind us. I mean, it just goes so far. So, we appreciate it, obviously, and we just got to keep playing good football, especially in front of our fans, but also on the road too. So, as we say, 1-0 each week. So we'll come back and bring some juice home to them.
Well, looking to go 1-0 on the road in Calgary. Great news about Zach Collaros being back at practice this week and expected to start. But I wanted to ask you about Stanley Bryant, who, has been just basically a pillar, the rock of this offensive line for so many years. Stanley missed the last 3 games. It looks like he's going to be back. I mean, for people that don't understand the X's and O's, how impactful is a Stanley Bryant for an offense when it comes to running the football, protecting quarterback, passing? Take us behind the scenes, where he ranks as an important factor in helping you guys do what you're setting out to do offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think Stan's resume speaks for itself. I mean, that guy's had a very successful career, and what he does, not even just on game day, but behind the scenes as well, to get everybody prepared and just have that veteran, composure around the locker room and the O-line room. I mean, it's definitely an added piece of trust, not just to the players, but to the coaching staff as well. I think, everybody's more comfortable when Stanley's in the lineup. So, it's always great for him to be back. And, he's definitely a great piece on game day. And even just involved in the prep as well.
Nick, you've really been leaned on quite a bit this year. Kenny Lawler's gone. Dalton Schoen's been out. You've got some new players in, and you have been really stepping up when needed. I mean, how are you feeling about your season personally as you get into Calgary this week?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, you know what? Some of those games and all that stuff, it just comes down to wins and losses for me. I know the production's going to come as long as I'm on the field. I know I'm going to be in the right place, and I know Zach trusts me, and I know this offense and these coaches trust me. So, I know the production will come, and I'm thankful for the looks that I get out there. But, at the end of the day, it's all about the wins and losses when it comes to the sport and to this team. So, individually, I think I am having a good season, but I can always do more when there's losses involved. So, at the end of the day, I'm just focused on going out there, being 1-0 each week and just playing good football for my teammates.
Nic Demski's with us on Winnipeg Sports Talk, leading the team in targets, receptions, yards, average per carry, touchdowns as well, and the longest of the year. The numbers are good. And this, 78 straight games with the catch? Is that ever on your mind when you go into games? Well, I got to make sure that I get one, or is it just about whatever they're calling a play? I mean, you want to be getting the ball on every play, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I love when the ball's in my hands, but at the end of the day, I know football is only one ball out there, and 60 plays. It's never going to be that way. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's funny because I never really thought about that stat, and more and more this year, there's been people kind of reminding me about it. So, I mean, I never really think about it for myself personally. I'm never going into a game, I better get this catch so I can keep the streak going. But, at the end of the day, it is a cool little stat. And, hopefully I can keep it going. As I said, I know as long as I'm healthy and I'm in the game, then, I will produce. So, I know that this team trusts me with that. And, so as long as I'm doing my job out there, hopefully the streak will continue.
Friday home game heading into a long weekend, not entirely long because you guys had to practice on Monday, but you get the good vibes of the win. How'd you spend the time off before you had to get back to practice?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I got a little daughter now. So, we took her to the pool that one day. And then also, shout out Elijah Barrett, son of Boyd Barrett. He's a Bomber alumni. He just graduated high school. So I used to coach him in recruit ready football. So I went and checked out his little graduation party. But, I just try to spend as much time as I can with the family.
And now back with your other family, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, prepping for a big game on Saturday night against the Calgary Stampeders. Nick, looking forward to it. And then, of course, right back at it next Thursday. Just a quick question on preparation. How challenging is it from a team perspective and an individual perspective when you play that schedule of a Saturday game and then having to turn it around on Thursday with the really short week?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I won't lie, it is tough. But, at the end of the day, it's part of it. You don't really got a choice. So you just got to, kind of alter your mind that, as Osh always says, it's perfect. No matter the situation, there's nothing you can do about it. You just got to do the little things, take care of your body. And I mean, they do a good job of taking care of us as well and giving us the rest that we need and all that good stuff. So no matter what, you get the schedule plenty of time before the season starts. So, you just got to act accordingly and stick to the process and everything will be good.
Hey, by the way, you mentioned your little daughter, the Demski family, apparently going to be growing. You're going to be going from playing man to zone with your girl. Congratulations on that. How excited are you and the fam to double down?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting times. I mean, it's been a blessing just to kind of see, obviously when the season's happening, the life moves a little bit slower some days, but very fast other days. And next thing you know, it's like we only have 8 weeks until little baby gets here. So it's pretty crazy times right now. But I mean, my fiance is awesome. She's such a big supporter of what I love to do and this club. And she's just as invested as I am. So, for her support and, obviously I go back home after I'm done here and I support her. So it's amazing. And I think we're doing a pretty good job.
Well, listen, lots of love for you and congrats in the chat. Nick, good luck on Saturday night. Keep it rolling. More catches, another 1,000-yard season. But most importantly, I know what you're looking for is that letter on the hat. Another W against the Calgary Stampeders. Good luck, man. Thanks for doing this. Take it easy, Nick.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back. You too.
Always great having Winnipeg's own Nic Demski on Winnipeg Sports Talk. 484 yards. I will bring this up now afterwards. But my favorite prop of the season over at Coolbet for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers was Nic Demski getting another 1,000-yard season, and he certainly is on pace for that right now. And again, lots of love for Nick in the chat. Always love when he jumps on the program. All right, we're going to hear from Zach Collaros coming up. Lots more CFL talk coming up in a few minutes when we finish Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. We'll kick it right into the premiere of CFL 110. Got to give a shout out to the Gold Eyes. Picked up a couple wins over the past little bit. Friday night, by the way, that Coolbet Winnipeg parlay of the Bombers, the Seabears, and Gold Eyes cashed. It was a hell of a night for Winnipeg sports on Friday heading into the weekend. But our friends, the Gold Eyes, finishing up their series on the road in Sioux Falls and then back at home for the weekend starting on Friday against the Lincoln Salt Dogs. So baseball at the ballpark all weekend long. 982 base, goldeyes.com for tickets for the upcoming games. Should mention, what do we got for promo-wise? Oh, August 8th, Friday night, is the Manitoba Social Night. The fireworks giveaway, we'll have to get Collier on, maybe tomorrow, because I'm pretty sure it's the social shirt giveaway with the salami on the shoulder. Oh, my God. Minor League Baseball combined with great, hilarious Manitoba traditions. That is amazing. August 8th, Friday night, Manitoba Social Night with the social shirt giveaway and fireworks for the Gold Eyes. Our friends at Breezy Bend are getting ready for the Manitoba Open in a few weeks. Again, go to manitobaopen.com for more information on ticket availability, times of the tournament, and make sure if you're a golf fan to get out to Breezy Bend and see the best of the PGA Tour Americas. And we've seen many players start here and end up doing incredible things on the PGA Tour. Breezy Bend, very proud to host the Manitoba Open this year. Again, manitobaopen.com for more details on it. I'm actually going to be out helping out with the media day next week and probably doing the show from Breezy. And then we will be there live for Manitoba Open day 1 and 2, maybe even the Pro-Am the day before. So really looking forward to finishing up the Manitoba golf season in style over at the Manitoba Open. All right, we will get to our horse picks in a moment. Remis's big win last night for Assiniboia Downs. And we will get to the Coolbet lines. And I'll let you know, if you missed it earlier, how Coolbet might be sending you with me to the Labor Day Classic between the Bombers and the Riders. Right now, though, let's hear from Zach Collaros. We promised you earlier. We wanted to get Nick on right away. Zach was back at practice, which is great news. And the first question to him was, Zach, how are you feeling?
You know, I'm fortunate that our training staff is so good, you know, and the doctors here in Winnipeg have been just great since I've got here with, you know, some of the stuff I've had to deal with. You know, so it's been tough, obviously. You never want to miss games. You know, there's not enough games in a football season, you know, so that makes it tough. And, you know, going through practice and going through training camp and not being out there with the guys and all that. So it's tough. At the same time, again, we have a great staff here. So we've been able to navigate kind of the ups and downs of the situation, and it feel good now, though, so it's good.
Same issue recurring, can we, safe to say, because they're still calling it the neck?
Yeah, it was a neck thing, and again, just wanted to monitor it there for an extra couple days. You know, I think I probably, it was my decision to play in that Toronto game and probably rushed it back there.
Oh,
so,
you did? Yeah, I was going to ask you that if you maybe rushed it a bit. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
But they left it in your hands. They didn't say.
No, it was a joint thing. You know, we talk. Again, Al and everybody here is very good about it, and we were on the same page, and I felt like I could go. So they trust me, and you know, hindsight's 20/20. So yeah.
All right, interesting that Zach pretty, said that he maybe rushed it back a little bit, and good on Paul Friesen for getting that out of him. He was asked about, the symptoms that he had been dealing with.
You kind of know when something's going on, right? So just, yeah.
And it's all related to the Calgary thing still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Was it something that contact kind of let you know, hey, this isn't quite right? Because you wouldn't have a lot of contact during the practice week.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay. Again, when you're dealing with the neck and kind of the whiplash effect and those kind of things, yeah, it can bring on some not fun symptoms, so.
All right, now the job for the offense, not only to be a little bit more productive, but they have to limit the turnovers. Turnovers, a huge part of the 2 losses to Calgary that got away on them. Here's Zach on just the need for the Bomber offense to limit those giveaways that had hurt them in the 2 previous matchups.
That starts with me, as a quarterback, and making sure that we're putting that I'm putting the ball in the right location. My decision making is good enough, so I'm not putting the ball in harm's way. and that we lock into the details and all those things so we can be on the same page and be on time. And those are the things that matter in the pass game, with regards to interceptions. Obviously, continue to focus on protecting the ball in the pocket, and Brady and the receivers doing a great job of protecting the football. And but yeah, it's something that for sure as a locker room we understand that we need to get better at. It's not a secret, and it's something that's we think is a part of our DNA here. So we need to start living up to it.
Zach, you're also, think about your play style. Like, you're kind of like a old school, like, gunslinging type of guy. Like, so how do you balance that with, wanting to play your natural play style, but like also wanting to also protect the ball?
I think protecting the ball is one of the most important things in football, right? So, at the same time, you never want to go into a football game or go into a situation and say, I'm afraid to make the throw, or I don't want to be aggressive here. But there is a dance that you need to kind of have, right? So, again, I think it's just about making sure that the plays that we're running are clear and concise, and I have a great understanding of them, and making sure that I'm getting through my reads in a timely fashion. And again, accuracy; those things matter, of course, as well. So yeah, it's a 12-man thing, but ultimately it starts with me and making sure that I don't put the ball in harm's way.
All right, more Zach Collaros from his media availability post-practice. It's not a week in the 2025 season in Winnipeg without talking about a guy that hasn't played yet for the Bombers, and that, of course, is off-season free agent acquisition Dylan Mitchell. Here's Zach Collaros when asked on what his rapport is like with Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah, looking back at training camp, there's a lot of moving body parts for sure. I don't feel like I got enough reps with anybody, but you never feel like you get enough reps. So, but that was a long time ago. But Dylan's done a great job of, learning what we're doing here. He obviously has a great rapport with Jarius too, from being in Edmonton with him for all those years. So some of the things that, I'm speaking for him, some of the concepts and routes that we run, we can just say, hey, it's like you did it this way in Edmonton. So I think that helps. And I think just getting used to a new setting for him and being around, our locker room for this extended amount of time has been good. And but yeah, he's a great player, and if he gets his opportunity, I think he's gonna do a great job.
What do you make of him as a receiver, as a teammate? What's your impression so far?
I think he's a really good teammate, a good guy. I'm happy that he's here. I was happy when we signed him in the offseason. So I'm happy again for the opportunity that he might have this week. As a receiver, I think he does some really good things, to the field and to the boundary. Again, he's played at a high level for a long time in our league, right? So I think experience is something that definitely matters. Being out there, and not having that deer in the headlights look, I think is an important thing. So I expect for him, if he is out there, to know what we're doing and do it at a high level. So again, excited for him.
All right, so there's Zach Collaros on Dylan Mitchell. And Reem, the big news out of practice yesterday, other than the headline, Bryant back, Collaros back, was that after all that, these last few weeks, guess who's practicing in the slot? Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah, last week O'Shea came out and made this big proclamation. Oh, Dylan Mitchell can't play the slot. He can only play in the spot that Carrick Wheat falls at. But any other player in the team, they'll adjust to wherever we put them. They made a number of changes on defense. They put in the rookie Corcoran in the slot on Friday's game. And this week at practice, Dylan Mitchell has been practicing in the slots. We've been waiting to see his debut. This offense needs a spark, and he be the guy that does it. And yeah, when you score 7 points on offense in a game, you're going to look to make changes, and bringing Zach back will be huge. But I think Dylan Mitchell is a guy who has potential to make an impact if he's able to grasp their offense that seemed to be so complicated for him, or whatever reason. What were the reasons they kept saying that he couldn't get it? We could come up with like 10, your top 10, like it's David Letterman.
Yeah, I don't know how to parse what was legitimate about that and what might have been, given us something that might not entirely be the entire story. Bottom line is this guy can play football. They spent a lot of money to get him here. Let's see what he can do to help an offense that has been sort of in neutral for the last little bit. So that will be a big story heading into Saturday. The other one, if it happens, would be, and we knew this was a possibility when Adam Bighill signed onto the Stamps practice roster, but the possibility of Big Hill playing against his longtime team, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Here's what Zach had to say about the possibility of going up against Adam Big Hill on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Oh, I've played against Big before. It's not fun. Yeah.
What makes it not fun?
Oh, he's so smart.
Yeah.
You know, I think Calgary in general does a really good job of spacing the football field too. I think they're really smart about the way they do it. So I think he'd be able to slide right in there and probably take it to another level because he's so damn smart, you know. So it would be tough. And again, when he hits you, it's not fun. And yeah. Again, he's just a smart player. It's tough playing against smart guys. Yeah.
All right, there's Zach with some high praise for Adam Big Hill. Now here's one more from Zach, and this is the QB on how to get back to their dominant ways, like they looked against the Edmonton Elks earlier this year.
Execution. You know, I know it's a boring answer. You know, first down on first down, you know, making sure that we're ahead of the chains, all those things, staying out of 2nd and 7 to 10, and again, not turning the football over. Like that's, if you ever heard me under, you know, my helmet during the game, if something bad happens, not just like an interception, like a total buzzkill, you know, I kind of say it to myself. So when there is a turnover, you know, it kind of sucks for everybody, right? So got to make sure to not do those kind of things. Again, but it comes down to execution. 12 men executing at a high level, and you know, like I always say to you guys, we like our chances if we're able to do that. Again, it kind of feels like the season's still young, but it's not, to your point, because I just haven't played a ton of games too. But yeah, we got to get going in the right direction. And I thought we had a good day today. I thought we had a good day yesterday. Guys are locked in. Calgary's a great team. It's going to be a great challenge for us, but you know, we'll be ready to go.
What do you say to those who suggest maybe Father Time's knocking on your door?
I feel young still. I don't know. I feel all right.
All right, he's feeling good. He's back behind center. QB1 is back, and hopefully that bodes well for the Bombers as they look to get one back on the Stamps, who have clinched the season series against Winnipeg with their 2 wins earlier this year. All right, we have a Bo Bichette home run, and the Blue Jays are up 3-1 now, bottom of the 3rd in Denver against the Colorado Rockies. Kevin Godsman dealing for the Blue Jays. But let's get over to the Coolbet lines. And as I mentioned off the top of the show, if you missed it, you know, our friends at Coolbet have been providing cool bettors with all sorts of amazing trips and experiences and promotions. And with their increased support of WST and our new deal, we've got the new NFL content coming up. We've done CFL 110 all year. You know, Bomber fans, we're packing Princess Auto Stadium each and every week, and maybe a lucky cool better heading with us and the 1930 crew to Regina. What you want to do, folks, you've got 2.5 weeks or so until the 22nd of August, which is a Friday, where we will give away a trip for 2 to Regina for Labor Day on the bus that I'll be hosting. It's going to include tickets to the game, transportation from Winnipeg to Regina, transportation to the games, a hotel right downtown. We got the DoubleTree, an amazing location like we had last year. We got a VIP reception. We'll have breakfast when you get there. All sorts of great prizes. All you need to do is send in a screenshot of any bet at Coolbet of $10 or more in August to us, along with your Coolbet user ID and your information so we can contact you, and email that to contest@winnipegsportstalk.com. Anybody that enters will get a spot in a special marble race on the 22nd of August, and we'll be giving away the trip for the following weekend. So Bomber fans, if you missed out or you hadn't made your plans yet and now realize, damn, I'd love to go on that, Coolbet.com. If you haven't played there before, use the promo code WST. We'll double your first deposit up to $200. And then just simply take a screen cap of any bet of $10 or more and send it to us at contest@winnipegsportstalk.com. And you will be in for the special marble race for the Labor Day trip on Friday the 22nd. Cannot wait for the trip. And if you want more information on the trip, go to the 1930crew.com or the 1930 crew on Instagram or whatever. We're going to dive into these lines more in CFL 110, but there's little line movement since Remis and Connor went through these yesterday. Hamilton, 3-point favorites at home to BC. Montreal, 3-point favorites at home to the Elks. The Argos, 3-point favorites at home to the Red Blacks. And the Bombers are the biggest dog of the week. 5-point underdogs in Calgary against the Stampeders on Saturday night. And the updated Grey Cup odds have the Riders. Listen, they're the number one team in the league, as much as many of us might not want to admit it. Riders are the favorite right now at plus 275. Montreal plus 350. Calgary plus 375. Hamilton plus 380. And then a pretty big gap until you get to the Bombers at 8-1. If you're a golf fan, we got the FedEx St. Jude getting going tomorrow. Hit this on the lock shop today. I am rolling with with Xander Schauffele, actually. And I'll tell you what, he's 16-1. But if you click on the exclusives, there's the PME weekly boost. It's Xander Schauffele to win the FedEx, and it's not 16-1, it's plus 2250. So an awesome boost. If you're like me and you like Xander, jump on that at a better number you will find literally anywhere. One other thing we've got to get to tonight, we talked about this with John Hodge a little earlier, is Canadian Victoria Mboko going up against Rewucki in the semifinals of the WTA event in Montreal. Mboko plus 190 underdog. Some pretty good value, I think. I will have a little sprinkle on Mboko tonight against Rewucki at minus 227. And then just quickly going to look at what the Osaka number is. Osaka minus 172 favorite against Towson, the 16 seed. If you like Mboko and Osaka to meet in the final, like we just talked with John, plus 359 is the odds on that. And of course, you can also use the 30% multiplier now that we're past the round of 16. When you've got that, you got a 30% multiplier on CFL, one on baseball every week. So make sure to take advantage of those promos over at Coolbet. And again, if you are a Coolbet or get an account, send us that bet slip. Any bet, $10 or more, contest at winnipegsportstalk.com. Count yourself in for our draw for the trip for two on the Huss bus to the Labor Day Classic. And Mboko, by the way, thank you for Michael Remis for making this. Mboko to win has actually been boosted from plus 190 to plus 220 in the exclusives. Good eye on Michael Remis. That's another reason why you got to check those exclusives every day if you're doing it. So I'd much rather get plus 220 than plus 190. And again, our boys at Coolbet always taking care. Thanks to Jake for the heads up on that. Get Jake on the show a little later on this week as well. And Patty's still on holidays. He'll be back next week. Normally we dive more into the golf, but I'm just rolling with Xander and maybe a little sprinkle on Patty's favorite, Ludwig Goldberg and Keegan Bradley at 40-1. But the odds are all up there. Jay's playing right now. Obviously, you can get them live. I was thinking about minus 133 on them when they were down 1-0, and then I turned around and Bo had already homered. So now we just ride and see if they can cover that 2.5 run spread. Big shout out to the Coolbet guys. And yes, Coolbet presents CFL 110. It is coming up next right after this program in about 8 minutes from now, which brings us to the final thing we need to do today, and that's get our Assiniboia Downs picks tonight. What a week out at the track. Packed for the Manitoba Derby. Another great crowd last night. They'll get back at it tonight at 7:30. And Michael Remis, you are coming in hot after your biggest win of the year.
Yeah, it was my biggest win, maybe even biggest win ever, but I had the trifecta on race 5 last night. I did a 167 box. So my $6 total bet, one per each combo, paid $117.60. So that was a really nice win for me as I try to catch up to. I've been trying to hit a big one. This was the biggest one that I hit. I did also hit the, exacta on race 3. I had a $2 box that paid $3.80. So I actually lost 20 cents. Even though I won. So the lines, I guess I bet on Welcome to Hollywood. I had it started off as a 1-2 favorite, then went to 1-9. Crazy favorite. So yeah, like if you bet $2 to win, it would have paid $2.30. So hey, the line we're betting at like 3:00. The lines do change, leading up like really slow. I had it in, didn't win or even finish third, but it was like 40-1 when I bet yesterday, and then at race time it was like 12-1. So. It changes. It's fine. I did hit the big winner, though, yesterday as I try to catch up to you. I still think I'm like $100 away, maybe slightly more. But we're keeping track of our duel at the Downs this year. You have any winners yesterday?
I did not. Or I shouldn't say that. I had one, but it wasn't a big one. Yeah, 690.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was 690 on... Oh my God, that's the horse you were talking about. I bet $6 and I won $6.90. I won 90 cents on a $6 bet.
Yes.
That's about the chalkiest favorite of the year at the track.
On Welcome to Hollywood, yeah, that's a crazy, what a ridiculous, favorite there. So hey, you put the bets in now and then it changes. So it does. You got to watch. Watching the live stream, I thought I was going to hit a big one on race 7. I did not, but. I do enjoy watching and following at the track. It's been a crazy week, because my conversation with Mike McIntyre yesterday about the madness on Derby Day. So I got to go read that in the Free Press.
Yeah, totally. Crazy finish in the Manitoba Derby. All right, why don't you give us a rundown of your picks? I'm just finishing up my last couple for today.
Let me bring up my picks. I am on a couple races here. Okay, I'm not doing anything too crazy here, playing a bit safer. Race number 2, I'm betting horse 6 to win. Suit Me Up Charlie. And then I'm on race 4. That's my only trifecta of the night. 2, 4, 6. A lot of Verve, Lieutenant Norman, big ticket. And then I got race 6, Exacta Box, 5, 7, Sharp Likeness, and Betty Joe. That's a bit of the chalk there. And race 7, I just have a winner, horse 7, Wait In by the Nile to win. So those are my selections.
Waiting by the Nile. It's funny. I'm actually on race 7 right now. I'm going to fade Waiting by the Nile. I'm going to go number 6, Skylar's Fire, number 3, Art Nouveau, and number 1, Sporting Star. So a 1, 3, 6 try actor box for that one. The other picks that I have, race 6, we're going to go 3, 4, 7. So Stevie Wonder Girl, Diamond Grand, and Betty Joe. We are going to go with a 2, 6 Exacta box in race number 4. Number 2, a lot of Verve, and number 6, Big Ticket.
Yes.
And then the other one that I've got in tonight is race number 2, and we're going 1, 2, 3 Triactor box. Silver Jaguar, Air Force Reserve, and Pickin' Riffs. That is for race number 2 out at Assiniboia Downs tonight. Again, 7:30 post time, free parking, free admission. If you haven't been there before, definitely check it out. It's a great evening for a beautiful day in this Manitoba summer. And don't forget, Assiniboia Downs running Tuesday and Wednesday throughout September as well into October this year. So a few extra days of live racing. And the next Monday of racing is going to be August 25th. HPIBet.com if you want to bet these tracks online. And of course, you can watch all the races at home on the Assiniboia Downs YouTube channel. Looks like the Jays have a couple more men on base at the top of the 4th. This has just been batting practice for this team, Reem, for these last few days here in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, you're in the thin air. You're playing against the worst team. You're the best team. You should go in and smoke them. And credit to the Jays. They're certainly doing just that. And The other thing, Connor pointed this out, we've been talking about the Jays, their run differential hasn't been that good. Well, when you put up, 16 in game 1 of this series, it's going to pad those run differential stats nicely. So they're still on top of the East, exciting to follow, and they are in action right now as well.
It's funny you mentioned the differential. What's the Rockies' differential this year? They are... Okay, just take a guess without looking, Remis. What do you think the Rockies' run differential is?
Minus 180.
The worst. They are minus 180 would be worse than every other team in the majors.
Okay.
Try minus 297.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
How is that possible?
That is crazy. The next closest team, I think, is minus, oh my God, is like minus 143. That's the Nationals. So the Rockies, they're not even trying to put a competitive product on the field. They're not even trying. Minus 297. They've 30 wins on the year.
30 and 83.
They're so bad. Oh my God. That
Only
is awful.
35 and a half games back of the Dodgers in the NL West. Their entire roster probably costs less than Ohtani.
Oh, for sure. Easily. That is, that's ridiculous. Well, we got to go, Wes, because this CFL's
CFL 110 is starting, everybody. Great show today. Thanks to Josh, Brandon, Nic Demski, and John Horn for coming on. Looking forward to this tennis match tonight, but let's get ready for the week in the Canadian Football League. Thanks again to all of our sponsors. CFL 110 right now. Let's do a little self-rate and enjoy the program. We'll see you tomorrow right here on WST. Thanks for hanging.
Oh, my God. Oh! Shut it down. Let's go home.
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.